we focus on helping business owners that realize that marketing and sales isn't everything that it was that they thought it was going to be to get them to where they wanted to go. So basically, when people realize that marketing and sales isn't enough anymore and they need to actually fix the other problems in their business, that's those people that come to us. So typically, people that are doing anywhere from 500,000 a year to 5 million a year are the business sizes that we work with. And they're typically coming to us because they need help fixing things operationally. They need help fixing their people issues, hiring systems. They have, bad performing teams. They come to us because they have, financial strategy problems going on. And so those are the areas that we typically serve businesses. And, that 500K to 5 million a year range is really that revenue range that we focus on.
All right. Hello, guys. My name is Julian Castle, and today I got Cody Barton. Cody Barton is 30 years old. He started entrepreneurship when he was 17. He has a $10 million portfolio. He's been in real estate, most of his 20s. Now he's buying businesses and he's doing private money lending. Cody Barton, thank you for having us. Thank you for coming. It's great. How you doing today?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, thanks for having me. Super excited, and I love talking real estate and deals and all that fun stuff. So excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you, Cody Barton, and tell us what got you into this space in real estate when you were 17, or how'd you get into entrepreneurship? Really, what was that like?
Yeah, so I'll give the quick background on that. When I was in high school, I always loved business, and when people would ask me what I wanted to be when I grew up, I wanted to be rich, and it sounds kind of stupid saying that, but it was really more so out of I wanted cool cars, and my mom told me when I was little, she's like, no, only rich people have cool cars. So that's why I started saying that, because I was always a car guy. I was just like, well, I don't know what I want to be, but I want cool cars. So that's what I would say. So, going down this path, I read the books that a lot of people read, all Robert Kiyosaki's Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and all the other books that he has. And, went on this journey as when I was 15, 16, listening to Zig Ziglar audiobook or audio tapes and all this. And so, I was learning a lot of the personal development stuff, and, started these side businesses in high school. And, first kind of more real thing that I got into when I was 17 to 21, I built a network marketing team, and, had a couple thousand people, was driving 5 million a year in revenue and sales at 18. And, did that till I was 21. And, the next thing, because I read all of Robert Kiyosaki's books, is I was like, well, real estate is where you build wealth. And so I transitioned into real estate, originally got my license because I'm like, I want to invest in real estate. So I got my license, and not knowing that I could just wholesale or do these other things that you don't need a license for. But here we were, got the license, did that as an agent for a couple years, didn't really enjoy doing that. And, really put the focus into wholesaling, fix and flipping, then started buying rentals and Airbnbs. And, really ran that, acquisition business for probably 6 years, and, then started transitioning into buying other companies. And now in real estate, I manage my portfolio, or manage my property manager that manages my portfolio, and do a lot of private money lending to fix and flippers now, and still stay very heavily involved in doing different types of deals, and doing a 1031 into another office space right now from another property. So still doing deals in the space, but not as heavily every single day anymore.
Okay, that's amazing. So tell us about your business when you were doing, wholesaling, fix and flipping. Did you get to do a high revenue amount when you were doing that kind of stuff?
Yeah. So in the wholesale and fix and flip business, got to, about $2 million a year in revenue between wholesale and fix and flip. We had a pretty healthy mix between the two. All in Arizona was the primary focus. We kind of had a niche in the mobile home fix and flip space. We found that, we'd be able to buy these manufactured mobile homes on owned land, and a lot of people wouldn't want to buy them. A lot of hedge funds buy here in Arizona, and none of them buy mobile or manufactured. So the competition was a lot lower on those. And so we found that to be a really great niche for us to be fix and flipping those, and wholesaling a lot of the other stuff to funds. And so, for us, the way that we looked at the business is, we want to be as efficient with every dollar as possible. So it was, we cherry picked every deal that we possibly could to squeeze the most juice out of them on the fix and flip side, and then wholesaled any weird deals or just deals in areas that we just don't really like doing flips in. And so that was kind of the model. And the way we built out our team was, we did back in the good old days when text marketing was a lot more efficient. We did a lot of text marketing, a lot of cold calling, which still works to this day. We had a cold call team, and those were our primary ways of doing deal lead gen. We had a door knocking team for a time, hitting pre-foreclosures, so a few different channels, and then we had referral partners that were agents that I had my license, I still do to this day. Any deals that were retail, we would just have our team send them to an agent partner that we would get, a percentage referral fee on because I have my license. So, we were just very big on like, let's squeeze the juice out of everything that we can to make, the most money that we can out of these deals, and however we can monetize them.
That's amazing. So, tell us, okay. So real quick, like one of the most important metrics that they throw out here in this real estate space is ROAS, like return on ad spend. When you were marketing and when you were doing like the wholesaling and fix and flipping, what was your return on ad spend when you were like doing this? Like what was your
Yeah,
metric
I mean,
there?
people are, gonna hate it now because it's like you can't get that nowadays. But we like when text marketing, cold calling, the 82p compliance stuff wasn't as strong as it is now today. I mean, we were able to get, our cost per deal was between like $3,000 to $4,000. Typically, it was like cost per deal. Nowadays, just because I have, consult with other people in the space, I know cost per deal on the, wholesale fix and flip side went up substantially. A lot of people are paying like $7,500 to $9,000 cost per deal, which still does work if you're fix and flipping and making 40 grand, 50 grand on a deal. It's just, deals cost more, I know in a lot of
Yeah.
markets. So, I looked at it more on the, how much does it cost us on a per deal basis to, acquire, what's that customer acquisition cost or the deal acquisition cost.
Gotcha. That makes sense. And what was your cash conversion cycle like? Were you doing like 30 days, 60 days, 90 days?
Yeah,
You know.
so I mean, depending on the marketing channel, right? There's always like there's certain lead sources that are higher intent. We didn't do PPC, but like just from knowing in the space, like if you have PPC deals, like your cash conversion cycle on like spending money on PPC to getting the contract is significantly shorter than like
Yeah.
cold call. Our bread and butter was cold call. That's where we made most of our money. But it would take longer. Typically, we were seeing over 90 days to 100 days from lead coming in to getting a
Wow.
contract. So that's not even getting the money. Like it was like 90 to 120 or 100 days to get the actual contract signed because we're
Yeah.
calling and interrupting their day. Like they weren't like, you know, on a website saying I want to sell now. Like they're thinking about selling or they're, maybe got some stuff they need to figure out before they sell. So that it was always longer on the outbound stuff that we were doing, but we just knew that if we start building up the pipeline that those deals from 90 days ago, 100 days ago that we've been working are going to be contracting out. So from actually getting cash on the wholesale deals, then we have another 30 days. So you're talking 120, 130 days on those cold call deals, or if it's a flip, you're talking a lot longer.
36 months. Yeah.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
Okay. That's incredible. Okay, cool. And so, okay, well, let's talk about it. Let's, tailor it towards beginners just for a little bit.
Mhm.
What do you recommend in this space, to do for a beginner, to get started? Like, what's the little game plan that you could kind of present to them that they could do and follow?
Yeah, so I think if it's depending on, someone's situation, do they have money or time? Or it's like which of those? It's like some people they have money to spend but no time. Like they have like maybe a high paid W-2 and they don't have the time to maybe spend as much time working deals. Or they're on the other end and they have a lot of time but they don't have a lot of money. So I think it's like you have to know who you are and like what your current situation is to make the best decision. So I'll just say both paths. Like if I was in one versus the other, what I would do. So if I was someone that was more so like a high W-2 paid earner, and sometimes people don't agree with this, but like I just think about like what's the best for someone is like if someone likes what they do for their W-2 and they're a high paid earner, like continue doing that. And what I would be doing is I would be networking and doing outreach to wholesalers and agents to find deals through wholesalers and agents. Um,
Mm,
and if you could, hire someone to do that, you can pay them to, do the outreach and find you deals that you could fix and flip. Like if you're a high W-2
mm,
earner, you likely can get a loan to be able to buy, a property to fix and flip. You can likely, afford to service the debt on the deal, with hard money or private money on a deal.
mm,
And so I'm a big fan of, if someone earns a lot of money in their W-2 to, find people that can help you source deals. And do fix and flips and use those to fund like maybe their rental acquisitions. A lot of people talk
mm,
about, oh, like get in real estate so you can have passive income. I don't know about you, but my $10 million portfolio is anything but passive. It takes
yeah.
lots of time and effort, and it doesn't just spit off cash flow every month. One month, last summer we had 3 different pools that had to be resurfaced, 30 grand. Swing in cash
Mm,
flow sucks, right? So it's
yeah.
like those things happen, and that stuff isn't talked about in the real estate books, and it's not talked about in the real estate courses. And so I'm a fan of if someone can, take capital, get it into a good, say it's either wholesale deals to get the capital or get the fix and flips to get the capital, and then take their, the profits from those fix and flips or wholesale deals and then put them into the rentals to grow their wealth. Like the real wealth creation and the, holding of the assets is the principal pay down, it's the appreciation, and it's the ability to, reduce your taxable income on the real estate income that you're making from like your fix and flips and things like that.
Mm,
So I know I'm like really going into that, but
yeah.
if I was on the other end and we had this person that's like, I have a lot of time, but I don't have a lot of money, well,
Yeah.
sweat equity it is. And I would be getting out there. And, if you don't want to spend money on marketing, I would be calling agents and I would be doing agent outreach. I think it's one of the most efficient ways to get deals if you don't have any money. And so I would be doing agent
Mm,
outreach and I would be doing wholesaler outreach, reaching out to other people selling deals. And I would be
mm,
trying to co wholesale. So I don't have to spend any
mm,
money on marketing, but I could spend all of my time on sweat equity of just working deals, working relationships, and trying to get deals under contract through agents with off market properties or with other wholesalers that have deals and help them, co-wholesale their deals. And that's how I would be creating the capital to then, be able to do the flips and be able to buy the rentals and do those other things. So those would be kind of the routes that I would look at going down if I, had money, but not a lot of time. And then if I had a lot of time, but not a lot of money. And so it's just those are both a lot of just, you got to do the work. And you still have to, when you're new, be in groups like yours where they could be learning about how do you underwrite a deal? How do you make sure it's a good deal? There's like the basics that people have to get down, but then it just comes down to
yeah.
the actions that they consistently take on a day-to-day basis.
For sure. Yeah. That makes total sense. Okay. Incredible. So, agent outreach or reaching out to wholesalers and trying to JV with them would be for the person that has a lot of time but not a lot of money.
Yeah.
And let's say one person has like a deal, like they got one deal, they had a couple deals or something, but they're looking to scale. I think, what do you do there? Like, what's your strategy like to scale? Do you hire an acquisition rep, or what do you do? How do you build? You know?
So give me a scenario. So like this is someone that's like, okay, now they're full time working on the business themselves because I'm gonna give different advice based on like what the situation is.
Yeah, so let's say that they just got their first deal done. They got 5 or 10, $15,000 from this first deal. They
Yep.
want to go put the money back in the business and they want to go full time doing it. What is their game plan to be able to do, this consistently on a daily basis?
Yeah, so there's a couple things that I think about is if you have to like 0 to 1 million in business, 0 to 1 million a year in business is all about getting your marketing and sales systems dialed in. So
Hmm.
my thing would be if you know like in that person in that scenario, if you know what your predictable marketing and sales engine is, like how you got that first deal and how you're going to create a duplicatable process to do that same thing over and over again,
Hmm.
continue doing that, right?
Hmm.
But if you don't know and it's just kind of like you just sporadically were able to get this deal with no real rhyme or reason, behind how you're able to get it, I would be investing in some sort of mentorship, because I'm the guy that's like, I want the fast pass. If I go to
Yeah.
Disneyland, I don't want to wait in line for 2 hours. I'm going to pay the extra, a couple $100, and I want to go on that ride significantly faster. So I'm going to pay
Mhm.
for that. And so, I know that can be advice that sometimes people are like, oh, like, you want people to go spend money on a course. It's like, okay, what do you get a better ROI on? Like, think about this, right? So if you were going to invest $5,000 and you could find a highly reputable, someone that has some sort of program that shows you exactly the skills and the things that you need to do to predictably get the results you want in your business, and you could spend that 5 grand on that, or you can test $5,000 in marketing that you have no idea what the hell you're doing with, and then hopefully it works out. And then if it doesn't, you don't know why it didn't work, because you didn't learn how to do it correctly. So now you're just out the 5 grand without the information. And now you're just like, well, that didn't work, but why didn't it work? So
Right.
I'm a big fan of, like, early on, like, I'll pay to just like have someone show me how to do it so I could just do it faster. I don't want the
Mm.
pain and suffering of waiting a year to learn the lesson. I just want to pay to get the lesson and then be able to move on. So that's something I would probably be doing, because I just want to go faster. Some people want to go through their own pain and suffering for a year or two, and that's okay, but that's not who I am. And so that's what I would probably do. But if a gun to my head and you're like, you have to spend it on just getting more deal flow, and I only got 5 to 15 grand, I'm gonna be focusing on agent outreach and wholesaler outreach. I'm gonna go pay for a CRM. I'm gonna pay the couple $100 to have some sort of CRM. I'm gonna go buy from some data broker all of the real
Mhm.
estate agents in the market I'm doing deals in. I'm gonna get all of their
Yeah.
information. I'm putting them in my CRM, and I'm smiling and dialing, because I ain't trying to spend that 5 to 15 grand. I'm trying to go get another 5 to 15 grand from another agent this month, a couple agents this month, and that's what I would be
Interesting.
doing. Or just because it's not a lot, like, it's not a lot of money to have to go and spend on marketing campaigns. So it's like, I'm going to go the more affordable route, which is just doing more effort and outreach to be able to go and start getting more capital in. And once I have,
Yeah.
call it 30, 40, 50, 60 grand in the bank,
Mhm.
then maybe I'm going to test some campaigns that I've learned how to do the correct way from someone that's shown me, or from some other blueprint, so I can successfully implement another campaign. But I'm a big fan of I don't want to just go throw money at the wall and hope something works.
Okay, that's amazing. Yeah, I like that strategy. And when it comes to, you mentioned, getting a list of realtors, like in the market.
Yeah.
Is there a service out there that actually can scrape and give you all the agents in that area so that someone can kind of dispo, through agent outreach? Is
Oh,
that?
absolutely. I mean, you could probably go on Google and find five, like, real estate agent phone numbers, or real estate agent contact information, Phoenix, Arizona, or whatever market. Title companies sometimes will give you a list as well. I don't know if you have any affiliate relationships with data brokers, but there's like companies like PropStream, Batch Leads. There's all sort of companies that are data aggregators online that you can
Mhm.
buy this type of information from. So for hundreds of bucks, maybe $1,000, depending on which one you're buying it through, and quality of phone numbers and things like that. But you can absolutely do that. And then again, like, sometimes you can get that information from a title company as well.
It's amazing. Yeah, that's an amazing resource. Cool. So Cody, how'd you get into buying, all these rentals? Like what was your I guess your approach, your strategy to buying all these rentals, like
Yeah.
to get to 10 million?
I mean, it wasn't like I went 0 to 10 million. It's like, dude, I was doing 6, 7 years of just buying rentals every year. Like, it was a very simple method. It's like, okay, we wholesale deals. we fix and flip deals when we have enough cash from fix and flips that when we fix up this next property, we could do the BRRRR strategy, which is we're going to buy it, we're going to rehab it, we're going to rent it out, and then we're going to go get long-term debt to refinance it, and we're going to, trap 70 to 120,000 bucks in equity in a deal, and it's going to cash flow. And that was just the entire model. It's just all of the money that we made from fix and flips. Like we'd just take essentially like a reasonable salary from the business. And then everything else was when we do the fix and flips and we have those surges of cash, we would allocate that to then do the BRRRR. So if we had to get any cash stuck in the deal, it would be going into that, that individual property. So it was just buying multiple properties a year. I'm not going to, act like we bought thousands of properties a year to do this. It was like every year it's like, okay, we bought 5 to 15 properties, but you multiply that over, 6-7 years. It's like, it just starts to add up over time. So it's not unattainable by any means. We definitely, I definitely took less money home because I could have just sold those as fix and flips and taken bigger chunks of cash, but I cared more about the long-term value of holding these properties for, 5, 7, 10 years. Right now I'm kind of balancing out some of my portfolio stuff that has a lot of equity in it, but not great cash flow. So, I was mentioning at the beginning of this call, I have a property that, I'm doing a 1031 on to bring it into a higher quality asset. And so kind of, pruning out some stuff right now as well, but that was always the play from day one, because I'm like, I want to build wealth through real estate. I don't want to just fix and flip everything. And, long-term holds is the store, a great store of wealth over time.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, that's incredible. And do you recommend, like, is there fix and flips going on right now with the current or the BRRRR strategy? Is that actually working right now with the current interest rate environment?
It just depends on the market, right? Like Phoenix, not as much. I still have friends here that do it, but like you're trapping a ton of cash in a deal to get them to cash flow correctly here in Arizona. But I have friends in the Midwest that are doing just fine with the BRRRR strategy. States like Ohio, Indiana, certain parts of Tennessee where the properties are just lower price and you just get a higher cash flow on a property, or they're still able to service the debt and cash flow. Okay. The market's always going to be what the market is, right? And it's, you have ups and downs and interest rates. And so it's just, it's about underwriting the deal the right way to make sure the numbers work. I would say if you're in high appreciation markets, like Arizona, places like California, certain parts of like Florida, it's harder to get those types of deals to work right now. But again, it's finding the right deals, and, you might be buying less in certain seasons or certain years than other years, right? So, it definitely is not as effective in certain markets, but still totally fine. And again, like some of those Midwest states.
Cool. Would you recommend someone do that virtually? Like if that person was not living in some of these states like Ohio or Indiana or even, Tennessee, where their property prices are low enough, do you think that it would be a good strategy for them to, let's say they were living in Arizona or Miami or something, they were to be doing those flips and, doing the burst strategy there? Or is that like a recipe for success? I mean, disaster.
It always comes down to who you are and who your team is. It's like, do you have a good reputable property manager, or do you have someone that's going to scam you and screw you over? Do you have good contractor relationships, or are you going to get screwed on that? It's like, are you buying in a good area, or are you buying in a war zone where, the last person that owned the property had 3 tenants get shot and it's a terrible property and that's why it's so cheap. You know what I mean? So it's like, you have to do your diligence, right? Like if you're going to go into one of those markets, like I flew out myself years, like this is like 6-7 years ago. I flew to Indiana, and then I went to parts of Tennessee to go and look at areas to potentially look at out-of-state investing. I'm not saying people have to even do that. Plenty of people do it virtually without ever doing that. I wanted to go and check out the areas and kind of get a feel for it. But, if you're going to go to those areas, I think it's, if you're going to, let's say you're picking Memphis, which there's lots of war zone areas in Memphis, but there's also areas that are not so bad there too. Wherever you're going to consider going, the person that's doing it should do their research, learn the market, establish a buy box of what they would be interested in potentially buying there, How should they establish the buy box? Well, they need to understand what a good deal is, what a great deal is. How can they do that? Contact 2 to 3 agents in the area that sell investor type deals. So they actually know what the heck they're talking about. Most agents are ding dongs when it comes to investing. Like you see these listings and it's like great investment and it's like full retail on the market. It's like, it is not a good investment to buy real estate at full retail, but agents put that in
Yeah.
descriptions. It's like, they're stupid. So it's
Yeah.
find a couple agents that are reputable, that have been doing deals for years, that maybe invest themselves in those markets and establish a relationship. You might have to call through a few. There might be some that are not helpful, but establish those boots on the ground relationships with people that know the market, know the good areas, know the bad areas. If you're going to then consider holding there, you need to find property manager that's reputable. How do you do that? When you talk to the property manager, how, they're all going to tell you how great they are. Ask them to introduce you to 3 clients that they're currently working with so you can interview them and see how happy they are. And more
Yeah.
importantly, ask them to introduce you to 2 to 3 clients that that fired them, to get introduced to them and learn why they fired them from having them manage their properties. And then you'll find out quickly
Mm,
whether they're really bad and they're not, if they don't make any of those introductions for you, you know that they're not going to be a good company. So there's things that you
yeah.
could do to vet these out, to find good property managers. There's things you could do to find uh find other people, agents to tell you, like, don't buy in this zip code, that's where everyone goes to get shot, that's where everyone sells crack, like, don't buy there. You know what I mean? It's like, you don't know that when you're
Yeah.
not local. So it's just to know, like, there's certain zip codes in Arizona that, like, my team, we would never flip there. I'm like, we're not flipping there because our AC unit's going to get stolen, someone's going to kick our door down, steal all of our appliances when we're flipping the house. I'm not dealing with it, so we're just going to wholesale everything there. Let someone else deal with that crap. So it's like, those are the nuances that you want to learn. And for someone listening, like, oh my gosh, it's overwhelming, you could do all of what I just said in a week. Literally in a day, if you really wanted to. Do the outreach to the property management companies, get the recommendations of the people you need to go call to, vet them out. You can call the agents, start some relationships there. As far as contractors, to find good contractors, that property manager should probably have some of those relationships they could introduce you to. Um,
Mhm.
Things that we did sometimes, like in person, is like, whenever, if I was going to neighborhoods, and this is obviously an in-person thing, where I had fix and flips, sometimes we would see other fix and flips going on in the neighborhood. And if I'd see guys there working, I would go stop and go talk to them because they're doing a job. And so I would kick up, the conversation with them, build a new relationship, ask them about the job, how long they've been doing what they've been doing, show me the work they're doing in the house. I can go and see if they're actually doing good work or if their work's super shoddy. And if it's good work,
Yeah.
they're at the job. That's somebody that we add to our Rolodex to give to our GC of, like, hey, like, I met, Josh over here at, 123 Main Street, and he was doing, he seemed like he was doing really great work on XYZ. Add him to your list of people to call when one of our guys inevitably can't show up or something happens. And, construction,
Yeah.
that's the world. So, but those are all things that people can do. And, a lot of the things that I talk about, just people don't want to do the work. They just would rather, like, let me just buy like a turnkey thing from some website in Ohio or one of those places, but, like, do the work to make sure you're putting, your money into a good investment, for sure.
Okay, I got you. So I have a question in regards to that because I think that your strategy is one of the most brilliant strategies that you can have, which is you're obviously marketing into an area and then you wholesale the ones that you don't want, but then
Yeah.
you fix and flip the ones that you want. And so when you are marketing, what are you doing? Is it cold calling? Is it texting? Or what would you do now, I guess, in order to do that? And obviously, you just gave the game plan of how to get started with the fix and flip in that area. But for that reason, what would you do?
Yeah. So, I mean, if it's virtual,
Yeah.
yeah. So, I mean, if it's virtual, like, I'm gonna either be in today's marketplace, I'm gonna be doing PPC or direct mail. That's what I'd be doing in today's market. I'd be getting a
Okay.
website built out. I'd be doing pay per click, in the areas that I'm trying to get deals done in. It's going to be a little bit higher cost per contract. Direct mail, same thing. But those are probably the 2 things that I would be doing. And this is, assuming somebody has some money to be spending. Like, 4, 5, 6 grand a month to be spending. And if it took 3 months to
Yeah.
get a deal closed, that they're not going to run out of money, because it could
Right.
take that long. Because like even if you got a deal within 30 to 45 days, it could still take another 30 to 45 days to close. So like you just have to have a little bit of runway if you're going to be doing paid marketing.
Yeah, absolutely. And in today's landscape, like, how do you recommend someone get started with PPC? I mean, it seems like this complex, overarching thing of how to do it. Like, I mean, obviously, I feel like you just hire someone, but do you have anybody that you'd recommend for this or anything
Yeah,
like
I
that?
don't I don't have some perfect PPC recommendation, but the same way I vet other vendors is, go on Google, search companies that specialize. Like if you're going to have someone help you find investment properties, find companies that specialize in real estate, help you find off-market real estate investing deals with
Mhm.
PPC. And how do you vet them? Okay, well, here's what you do. You interview probably 2 to 3 different companies that say they do exactly what you need them to do.
Yeah.
Then you ask for testimonials. You see like 3, 4 testimonials that they have, some video testimonials, and to really vet further, ask them to introduce you to 1 or 2 of those people that were maybe in the videos and that you want to ask them some questions and get some answers from the people that are already their customers. And then
Yeah.
I would also ask for 1 or 2 people that fired them from their service, and that you want to also talk to them about why they fired them. And then you'll find that some companies won't do that, and you don't want to work with them if they're not willing to do that,
Okay.
because
I
you know
got you.
that there's something that they're hiding from you. Because
Yeah.
if they fired someone, it's just like, hey, like, yeah, we just didn't have the budget to keep using their service, but they were doing good for us and we were happy. That's an okay response to get, right? Like that's
Mhm.
not that happens. But
Yeah.
I want to know the clients that it went bad for and the clients that went good for, so then I can make an educated decision whether it makes sense for me to work with that company.
Perfect. So for PPC, how much of a budget do you think you should have? Like we
5K a
should have?
month.
5K a month? Okay.
Yeah.
And
Otherwise, it's like I wouldn't even start doing it.
that's equal to how many deals would you be getting a month with that? Is it one?
I mean, if you're saying California versus freaking some backcountry town in Alabama, like California, you may not even get a deal. It's
Yeah,
depending on
yeah,
where
yeah.
it is, and some backcountry town in Alabama with 1,000 residents, you may get 2 deals there, but then you might not be able to
Yeah, yeah.
sell either of them. But so it's.
Yeah.
I know that answer is annoying, as like it depends, but like it
Yeah, I
depends on
know.
your market for sure.
Yeah, let's say it was more in the Midwest, like one of those rental markets where you can actually pick up a property nowadays and, do the Burr method, you know.
I mean, I wouldn't say that getting a deal a month from that spend wouldn't be, super unrealistic. Depends how
Okay,
fast you're
gotcha.
working the leads too. Speed the lead's important. You get a PPC lead, you better be talking to them within the first 5 minutes of them coming in, because they just submitted their information on 7 other cash buying investor sites. So you got to
Right,
compete with that.
right. That makes sense. Okay, cool. Interesting. All right. Yeah, that's really interesting. Okay, we got the blueprint, the breakdown of how to get a fix and flip business started with the Bird method, and also do some wholesaling with PPC or direct mail. So, now tell us a little bit about what you're doing when it comes to like buying a business. Like, what is that you're working on?
Yeah, so I over over the years in real estate learned how to build teams, learned how to put systems together, operations, and really just run companies well. And so, you know,
Mm,
started building other businesses alongside. Built a virtual assistant company that I've had for about 5 years. And as I've gotten into these other deals, I started just building up more cash flow, and I just had more cash available to invest. And like where some of the real estate deals didn't make sense, again, like Burrs here in Arizona,
yeah.
I've allocated more of the capital that I've been making to doing business acquisitions, in industries that are, make sense to me to work in based on like my experience in the background. So really just buying businesses, helping kind of do these long-term business fix and flips where I'm, helping build the enterprise value to sell them over a couple year period of time. And then
Nice.
outside of that, just then doing, private money lending. So I lend to fix and flippers here in Arizona, for a nice return as well. So kind of transition to doing that as well too.
Nice. So how is it how is real estate compared to like finding and building a business or like fixing and flipping it? Is it similar in terms of like a lot of the the skills that you gain? You actually can apply them into this to do that.
Yeah, I'd say so. I mean, a lot of the skills apply. Every business I look at is like pretty much the same thing. Every business has marketing, some sort of marketing that has to be done to bring in a lead that's interested in whatever the widget or the thing is that you do for a business. You have sales, which
Yeah.
is the conversion event of whatever that lead is. Then you have the
Hmm.
operations or fulfillment, which is like if it's a service, it's servicing the customer. If it's a product, delivering the customer the thing you sold them. And then you have the finance side. It's like, okay, then managing all of the, financial constraints of the business, investing the company capital correctly, managing the company money correctly. And every business is the same in that way. And then, it's how do you lead the people to do all of those things in those different areas. Um, but, buying a business, you're going to get higher cash flow if you buy the right types of businesses. Then you're going to get buying real estate. There's pros and cons to both. You have to have more business acumen to buy a business and run a business. In my
Hmm.
opinion, than if you're just buying real estate. Real estate's pretty simple, straightforward. If you know how to underwrite
Yeah.
a deal correctly, you buy the deal. If you have a tenant, you get a tenant in there. You hire a property manager because no one should have the pain and suffering of self-managing, and you wait for 5 to 10 years, and now you made money in real estate.
Okay. That's awesome. Yeah, I think business definitely has a little bit more nuts and bolts, but it's a little bit more higher leverage, right? You can make more money in it. So that's interesting. One thing we didn't touch on yet is the finance side of things. So obviously, when you were doing your fix and flips, I assume you were doing a hard money loan or a private money loan
Yep.
to do this. How did you start getting these loans, and in order to be able to get your deals going, and how would you recommend someone starts getting a loan for a fix and flip project,
Yeah. So
essentially?
for me, I didn't have tons of capital, so I couldn't just self fund these things on my own when I started. So what I did is I have a low risk tolerance. So what I did was I actually just partnered with people that had the money, and I would get the deal and run the flip, and then get the deal done, and then I would do profit share. That's how I did the first couple, just to get capital. So I just had some of my own capital, and then once I got more of my own
Hmm.
capital, then I went to the model of going to hard money lenders, and going and getting way better terms where I could put you know 10-20% money down on a fix and flip, and then the hard money lender would fund the rest of the project. And so that
Yeah.
was my next step. So it's like I gave up a lot to profit share on the beginning because I cared more about getting the experience and making some money along the way to grow my resume
Hmm.
of my experience in the business. And then I
Yeah.
went the hard money route. And then from there, once I built up a track record of like I just am making money on these deals, then I started networking and approaching different people that had private money. I had people that were like engineers, doctors, attorneys, other high paid consultant type people that just have high paid jobs and that had
Yeah.
capital to invest. And so I would then I started having those people fund my fix and flips, like the purchase and renovations, and I would give them just a percentage return on their money. So that was
Nice.
kind of the evolution. It's like I gave up the farm on my first few deals to cut my teeth in the
Yeah.
business and grow my resume. And then I went to hard money. And then once I had this track record, I could go to a private money lender and say, here's the last 25 deals that I've done and that have all been successful. And so it gives them the confidence versus, on the first deal being like, well, you lend on this, I think it'll work. And it's like they're trusting you to, steward their money well on the deal. And so
Right.
I wanted to build up the track record. Some people don't do that. Some people just go right to private money lenders, and that's fine. That was just what I did. And I think anyone could replicate what I did, as not everyone has, the connections to get private money right off the bat. But if you prove yourself and build a track record, the private money will come to you when you start networking and you can show your performance of your track record.
That's amazing. Okay. So during this time, it sounds like you were very vocal about what you were doing. I guess eventually being able to raise money from, people that you knew that were high paying, you know, earners or consultants, you must have been talking about what you're doing. So, while you're doing this, were you talking about what you were doing, and how were you talking about it? Like, what was your
I would just post on Instagram. I'd post on Facebook, and I'd just be like, at some crappy, you know, at a bunch, I'd just be sitting there on my phone, like taking a video of like some dumpster fire freaking property or some hoarder house, and like, new project starting today. And, I'd just document the stuff that I was doing, and like people would ask. And, that's how like a couple of the lenders we got like through social media, they're like, how can I, get into deals with you? And I'm like, well, the only thing I need is money for deals. So that's the only thing that I need, or more deals. So if you have one of
yeah.
those, we could do deals together. And so that was really kind of how it started. I just would document what I was doing. It's like, here's a new project. Here's the project now that it doesn't look like crap. Now we sold it and we made money. So it's like people were able to see that stuff happening. So, being active on social media was important for sure.
Okay, that's amazing. Good to know. Incredible. So, I see that building this business is very important, and you mentioned something about systems. Obviously, I want to see what you can talk about when it comes to like how to managing your leads. Like, how soon should you call them? How many times should you call them? Like, what CRM should you use? Kind of like the actual work that you do in a business when you get a lead in, just so people understand how they should be managing their leads if they start to get into the business.
Yeah, so I mean, as soon as you have a new lead, you should be calling them within 5 minutes or less. I think it was Harvard that did the study that showed that your lead is it's like 400% more likely to convert if you call the lead within the first 5 minutes. So
Mm,
it's extremely important getting the speed to making that contact to the person that you're reaching out to, and then I mean, the average amount of times you should be reaching out. I mean, within any of the companies that I have, like they're reaching out to leads 10 to 12 plus times before we're going to put it on some sort of like long-term drip process to follow up with. Like we're trying to hammer those, people as much as possible over the first few days. And so, 10, if you haven't called the lead 10 plus times, shame on you. And if you're not calling your leads within 5 minutes or less, shame on you. You're literally leaving money on the table not doing that. So those are a couple of like, initial frameworks. And, you could use, and there's tons of CRMs, Podios out there, Go High Levels out there. What's the best CRM? The CRM that you'll actually use. And that's the best CRM.
nice.
There's too much
Nice.
marketing
Okay.
around one CRM being better than another. So you can grow $1 million a year business with just having a very antiquated, very simple CRM system. So people don't need to overthink that. It's just get a CRM that you can manage your leads and follow up with them and know the last time you followed up with them. You could put notes in the system. You could put reminders in there. And that's like a good baseline. There's tons of things you can do to like increase conversions and all of that, but for the beginner, you don't need to do all that. You just need to organize them somewhere, and so you don't lose track of what your leads are doing.
Perfect. Okay. And I want to touch on a little bit of the exit strategy. So obviously, you were doing some fix and flips when you got some of your marketing leads coming in. But were you also doing like sub two seller finance, novations? Like, were you doing all that, or were you just doing cash deals? Like, what was your kind of focus?
Whatever way we could make the most money out of a deal was what we would do. So whether it's like we could structure it as a cash deal, we can sub to the deal, we can seller finance the deal, whether it needs to go retail and sent to an agent to list the deal. Our business was, how do we get qualified, motivated sellers to come in as leads? And then our team's job was to identify how to best monetize that lead that serves and solves the problem of that seller that's selling their home. So if it's cash as the solution, I look at all those
Mhm.
strategies as tools in your tool belt. We need to pull
Yeah.
out the hammer for this one. Nope, we just need to pull out, the screwdriver. We need to, whatever was needed, whatever tool was needed to best serve the customer, to best serve the homeowner, is a tool that we would use to solve that problem. So that's the way that we always thought about it. And it wasn't like we're trying to only do cash, or we're trying to only do like sub two or seller finance. It's like, whatever we can do to monetize this lead and serve the lead and serve that homeowner, that's the way we're going to serve them.
Perfect, perfect. Awesome. And I want to touch on a little bit on sales. I think sales is kind of like the glue. It's marketing and sales, you know?
Yep.
So, how does someone get better at sales? I mean, if, you know, how do you do that? Like, what would you recommend on a slow, on a, I guess on a low budget and obviously on a,
Low budget, lots of YouTube videos. There's tons of YouTube videos out there on sales training, and you can pull up tons of YouTube videos of listening to other investors do live cold calls or acquisition calls. There's so much stuff on YouTube these days. So you can go watch stuff on YouTube. You could be going and buying books to improve on sales. There's, I was never much of like the sales guy, but there's like a Sandler method sales training that, a lot of people in the real estate investing space utilize to learn. There's another guy, I think he sold the company, but I think it's still the same name, but like John Martinez sales training for real estate investors. There's just different sales trainings that you can go pay for, but you could learn a lot of stuff on YouTube. And then, there's a lot of books that for $20, $30, you could be buying books to learn about personality selling. There's just so much you can do to be learning and refining that. But the best way to learn is to find someone that has a successful real estate investing business. You get the scripts that they use, and then use those scripts and practice and go screw up a bunch of calls, and then you'll learn that way. That's the
right?
best way to
Yeah,
learn. That's the best way to actually learn it,
that
is to go
is,
screw it
yeah.
up a bunch.
That is for sure. Cool. So I want to touch on a little bit on hiring. Hiring, recruiting, hiring, interviewing, and managing, and all that. Because obviously, if you're going to run a business, you're going to need to hire people because you can't do everything yourself. So I guess what are your best practices when it comes to that? Like, where do you find the people, and then how do you go about finding and selecting the right kind of talent?
So we hire everyone through Indeed. If you can't successfully hire people, you're stuck with the talent that you could only be referred, which is not always the best talent. So we're very big on hiring processes. I have multiple YouTube videos on my channel showing people like step by step how to go and hire from cold traffic and get great talent. So people could watch that type of stuff for free. But
Nice.
it's building the job description the right way, which again, on my YouTube, I show people how to do that. And then using a platform like Indeed to post up those job ads, and then realize you're going to get tons of applications. Lots of them are going to be garbage. And then you have to filter through those. You do a couple rounds of interviews. And again, on YouTube, I actually talk through like specifics on like how to do your interviews, what questions to ask and things like that. That would be helpful for people.
Nice.
But it's you have to you have to learn how to get A players into your business if you ever really want to scale and grow. And so those are like getting the right job description down, getting the using a hiring platform like Indeed to get applications coming in the door. And then it's knowing how to interview people correctly so that you hire the right people, and then setting the right type of expectations with those hires as well. There's a lot to unpack, and we could talk on that for an hour. That's one of the things that my consulting company helps people do. But there's a lot there, but it's a skill that's super high ROI. Where I go into different businesses that I buy, and it doesn't matter what the roles we need to hire for. I know how to go and build it out to go get the hiring system to hire cleaners or hire engineers or manufacturing people, or if we need to go hire high level finance controllers or CPAs. Like, we just know how to hire. And when you know how to hire, in business, it's a lot of who, not how. Like for me, you
Yeah.
mentioned like on the sales, I'm a people ops, finance, and like leadership and like strategy person more than I am in kind of the data side of marketing. And I'm not much of like a sales guy. So like I don't do sales for any of the businesses. That's always one of the first things that I hire for, because I don't like sales. I don't like to do sales. I don't get enjoyment from it. I'm not very good at it. Like, there's just all of those things. But I know how to hire great salespeople. I know how to train salespeople. I know how to build out the training plans for those salespeople so they can sell and they love it, and I don't have to do it. So, there's a lot of that in business too. It's like knowing what you're good at, leaning in on that. The areas you're not good at doesn't mean that you can just ignore them. Like I can't just ignore sales. Like sales have to happen. I just need to know
Yeah.
how, or not how, I need to know who I can bring into the business to go and handle that part of the business.
That's amazing. Love it, love it. I love the detailed breakdown and how you have resources on your YouTube channel. And just to get a little more curious on your business, your consulting business, what exactly do you guys do for people? Like, what do you, I guess, your avatar and what you guys do?
Yeah, so my consulting business, scalewithpros.com, basically for us, we focus on helping business owners that realize that marketing and sales isn't everything that they thought it was going to be to get them to where they wanted to go. So basically when people realize that marketing and sales isn't enough anymore and they need to actually fix the other problems in their business, that's those people that come to us. So typically people that are doing anywhere from 500,000 a year to 5 million a year are the business sizes that we work with. And they're typically coming to us because they need help fixing things operationally. They need help fixing their people issues, hiring systems. They have, bad performing teams. They come to us because they have, financial strategy problems going on. And so those are the areas that we typically serve businesses, and, that 500K to 5 million a year range is really that revenue range that we focus on. Newbies, not as much. Why? Well, newbies need to focus on marketing and sales. And
Yeah.
once they've figured out that piece, then we come in to help with a lot of the other components of the business. And so that's why we kind of hang out in that revenue range. And we have a lot of like done, with you or done for you solutions where we come in and help companies just literally fix those things in their companies alongside them.
Cool, cool, cool. That's awesome. I want to talk a little bit about you. Like, how have you evolved as a person? Like, when you were learning all these things, obviously you have all this skill repertoire right now. But where do you get your information? Like, how do you like to learn? Like, how do you like to, to to do all these, like to build, these things?
Yeah, so like I mentioned earlier in the episode, like I'm a big fan of investing in myself. I've invested hundreds of thousands of dollars in myself. Probably at some point I got to be getting close to $1 million invested in myself in education over the years, because at all times I always have a coach. I have two business coaches right now. I have one business coach that I pay $4,000 a month for, that he built a company to 100 million a year, and he coaches me on leadership and strategic, planning for my companies. And then I have another business coach that I pay $3,900 a month for, that coaches me on business acquisition and scaling, how to scale companies the right way. And he exited an HVAC company for over $1 billion. And so like I have those two coaches that, I'm working with. I've had one of them for 6 months. One of them I've been coaching with for 2 years. And so I have coaches. I go to events. I'm going to the Dominican Republic to go to an event next week, and I'm speaking at it, but also participating at it. A couple other masterminds that I'm going to this year as well. So I'm always reading. I'm reading books all the time. I'm paying for coaching. I'm paying for masterminds. I'm paying for education. And again, like there's some people that have like a negative stigma towards like paying for education and all that. And I'm like, go ahead and suffer. There's a reason that I move so much faster than a lot of people do in business, because they just want to do the pain and suffering route. I pay for the fast pass. I don't want, like, I've learned a lot of the lessons that I've learned through trial and error as well, just like anyone else. But if I can pay to just skip over the roadblock in business, I'm going to pay, because I don't want to wait. I just want to go. I want to go faster. I want to grow faster, and I want to be more successful. And if someone can, if I could pay someone and they could point and say, Cody, if you go down this path, you're going to fall off a cliff, go left instead. Okay, like that's good information. You know what I mean? It's like,
Yeah.
so that's the thing for me, is I'm always investing in my personal development through coaches, events, masterminds, workshops, and I'm reading books. I'm reading books to, continue to improve my skills. And so those are the things that I'm always doing, and learning from, other networking with other business owners too. It's like I try to
Yeah.
make a point of building relationships with people that have similar size companies to mine, bigger companies than mine, and finding ways I could bring value to them, how they could bring value to me, so we can learn together. So those are the
Yeah.
things that I'm always trying to do to continuously improve and grow and learn. And it's always funny to me though, because there are a lot of people that kind of poo-poo on just like education space. Like I've definitely paid for events, or I've went to masterminds and things that were like dog crap, and I, wasted $5,000 or $10,000 or whatever. But the ones that have been amazing just make up for it in such a high ROI that it's just like just because I burnt my mouth on pizza once doesn't mean pizza's bad. It's just that was just a bad mistake that I made. You know what I mean? It's like you keep looking and finding resources until you find the things that you need to keep going. So that's kind of my thought process on just like learning and growing in education overall. Is I want to do it fast, and I don't want to wait a long time to do it. And if someone else knows how to do it, I'm just going to pay them. They're going to be the who to show me how.
Nice, nice. That's awesome. That's amazing. And so I do want to talk a little bit about how you can prevent someone from buying into something that's dog crap, because there's always gurus on here that have this the success or claim or whatever that maybe they're not the greatest mentors, and so I see what can you do to kind of prevent that from happening from someone that's in the audience.
Yeah. So I think it's like if you're researching, it kind of goes into some of the due diligence that I had talked about before on like, property management companies. It's like if someone has a program that you're considering going through, like I think it's really understanding what you're trying to get out of it and make sure that's the right program for you. Like for us, like what I do at Scale with Pros, if someone is like the only thing I need help with in my business is figuring out how to, really crush it with sales, you don't want to join anything I'm doing. That's not my thing. Like I can tell you I can help people with their sales operations from like KPIs and data dashboards and things like that. But like, we're not the guys you go to for us to help you build out your scripts and your follow-ups and all that stuff, So it's like, whoever you're considering going to, make sure that they are they have the solution for the problem that you actually have, and then actually take the time to talk to some people that are already in the program and bring up your specific challenges that you have and ask them if they think, in their opinion, that your challenges could be solved in that program, and then get the feedback. It's like it's just doing some due diligence and talking to some people to understand if that's the right solution for you or not, And so there's a lot of internet marketers that, are really good at sizzle and razzle dazzle online, but they don't have a lot of fluff, or it's just a lot of fluff that they actually sell. And so I think it's, finding the people that are actually in the program that you're considering investing in and having real conversations of, I have XYZ problem. I'm considering spending this $5,000 or $10,000. From what you know about this program and what you've taken away, am I going to solve that problem if I spend this $5,000 or $10,000, if I apply myself and do the things that they tell me I need to do in this program? And if the answer is yes, spend the money, join the program, like do it. But, like do some due diligence, watch some testimonials or case studies and, talk to some people and get make sure you actually do some due diligence, not just decide off emotion, which everyone's going to decide off emotion anyways, even if I say that, but hopefully do some due diligence.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, I think a lot of people can stop themselves from doing it. If they just do the due diligence, talk to some other people, they could have better results. It may take a little bit longer.
Yep.
It may even make the person feel that you're going to be mentoring with, like a little bit uncomfortable because maybe they're not used to it. But again, it's like you said, that's just the best way to know whether this person is actually going to help you with your problem or not.
Yeah.
And it's hard to make money, but it's so easy to spend it. I mean, it takes so much less time.
Yeah.
So cool. So Cody, tell us where we can find you. What are you up to on YouTube? What are just so people know where they can get some more free resources from you and see if they're a fit for you at any level.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, people could find me on Instagram, Cody Barton Official. I just post business stuff or travel stuff or car stuff. That's usually the stuff that I post about on Instagram. And then, YouTube, just you type in Cody Barton. I'm the one that's not the football player. There's a Denver Broncos player named Cody Barton too. So he's also a lot on YouTube. But I'm the one that's not him that talks about business on YouTube. And, I just give out literally just playbooks on all sorts of content on how to solve problems from a people, finance, ops, leadership standpoint of scaling and growing companies. And so, tons of free stuff on there. Give a bunch of free resources away. And my like links in the descriptions and stuff on YouTube. So those are the best areas to find me, learn, get some free additional education in some of these areas if these are areas you're struggling in. And yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Cody. I really appreciate you for coming on, and we would like to do some follow up in the future just to see how we can get some more business advice from you. So, thank you so much for coming on, and yeah.
Awesome. Thanks for having me.